Hey everyone, it's Steve from the garden. Today is August 20th, and this is about the time of the year when I start to transition the garden from summer over the fall. So I have some broccoli to get in the ground, some lettuce to get in the ground, and some lettuce seeds to get started. Before I get to that, I also want to shout out a thank you to Michael Marchione for sending me these poppy seeds. He sent me a mix of American Legion, Flanders Field, and Hungarian. Mike lives in upstate New York, and while he does not have a YouTube channel of his own, he is a member of the Garden Gurus Club, and he's not just a gardener, he's also a craftsman, where he makes his own whirly jigs and he makes powder horns, and I'll throw some pictures up of those. This is the lettuce I'm going to be transplanting today. It probably should have been out in the garden a week ago, but we'll just work with what we got. I have a mix here of a couple different lettuces. One of them is a type of romaine, which I'll cover in the house. These lettuces were rated well for surviving the summertime. So as we kind of get into that end of summer time period, as we transition into fall, these should do pretty well. And we finally got some much needed rain last night and through this morning. It had been no rain here for about 2 weeks straight, so that rain was much appreciated. I got my basil, and I have some lettuce I planted a couple weeks back. Over here is the lettuces I just put in. You got a dozen here, and I did put compost in this area before I started planting these. We'll move on to the broccoli. Now the broccoli got kind of chewed up by caterpillars when I was hardening them off. I ended up with like an infestation of these things, but I did spray them with BT, which took care of the problem, and there's new growth that's coming on there. Now one thing I noticed with this bed is that the side of the bed I'm on right now, the ground is a little more is harder than it is on the back side. So this fall, after the broccoli gets done, I'm going to have some amending to do in this bed to help loosen up the soil. I'll probably end up doing a combination of leaves, horse manure, and maybe top it off with like a thin layer of compost to hold the leaves in place. Now when I do the leaves, I'll be using my lawnmower with the material catcher on it, which means I'll have both leaves and grass clippings in there. Add a little more nitrogen into it. And part of the problem I'm getting in this bed is that these giant pine trees in my neighbor's yard over here, they're sending roots into this space, and they're kind of sucking up all the moisture. Which will be another reason that I'll have to kind of get this amended a little bit to help hold that moisture in the ground. I got the broccoli planted in. Now if you notice, I got these hoops up here, and that's so I can install insect netting over this area to help keep any critters from getting into it, and to keep any future cabbage moths out. And when I get done with this, it'll look like this area over here, where it has a nice covered space with the insect cloth on it. Let's move on to planting the next succession of lettuce. Now I'm going to do 24 plants in this succession, and the idea behind this and the next one, which will probably be around September, the first week of September, I'll do the next succession after that, and that might even be bigger than this one. And the idea there is that as we get in the fall and we get beyond the fall equinox, the days are getting shorter, the temperature is getting cooler, the lettuce is really unlikely to bolt in that cold temperature, and it'll also hold out in the garden much better too. So by doing a bigger planting, I can start harvesting some of the leaves, and it'll just kind of be able to hold out there, and I'll be able to pick as I need it. Now the downside of planting in the fall is that things don't grow as quickly, but in a way that's a disadvantage and an advantage, in that by having a bigger planting, it won't grow. It'll grow fast initially, slow down, and then I'll be able to harvest over a long period of time. Varieties I'm planting are Parasaline romaine, freckled romaine, Grand Rapids leaf, which has kind of like a frilly leaf to it. I got some magenta. Now, even though that one's marked as summer, it can be grown in the fall too. Some ruby red leaf. And some iceberg. Iceberg doesn't have much nutrition, but it does add flavor. With 24 cells to plant and 6 varieties, I'll just do, 4 cells of each variety. Drop in a few seeds of each. I'm not going to bother marking which are which, because once they start growing, it gets pretty obvious for me, what they are. And when I plant the seeds, I've already dimpled the surface here. I overplant a little bit, and I can thin them out afterward. The seeds in place, I'm going to just kind of cover these up a little bit. And then top them off with some perlite. I got the lettuce back here on the shelf with the humidity dome on it. Those seeds should germinate in the next, 3-4 days, and then once they get, half-inch tall or so, then I'll start thinning them out. This is my last planting of broccoli for this year. These are ready to go outside to be hardened off. This time, though, when I put them outside, I'm going to spray them with the BT right away so that I don't get the cabbage moths coming on them. Well, that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you got something out of it, and we'll see you on the next one.